All right, everyone, welcome to Digging Deeper. This week, we're bringing you inside my winter greenhouse, and we'll be talking about how to grow lettuce and greens year-round in a northern climate. So come on, check it out. So this is my winter greenhouse. This is where we feed the farm-to-table restaurant, the Old Mill, where I'm at right now. We're in Quebec, so we're in the northern climate. It's been really cold. We're end of January, and we've been growing year-round, minimally heating so that temperatures are just below 5 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's really the trick. And from all these experience that I've had growing greens and growing lettuce in the winter, it's not complicated at all. There's a few tips and tricks that you really need to follow to do it successfully, but once you follow these guidelines, it really works. And the number one thing to understand is that it's not cold that we're fighting against, it's daylight. We need to make sure that our crops are in the ground and at maturity before the days are shorter than 10 hours a day. And once that's done, you want to make sure that you're keeping them really cool during those first few months to harden them off. Once that's done, crops that are frost hardy, which we'll be talking about today, they can really last for all your winter, even in a northern climate like this one. The first one and the most popular crop to grow inside a winter greenhouse is lettuce. Lettuce is by far the crop that all people eat, and that responds really well to cool nights because then it becomes more thick. It becomes like almost another crop. The trick again to grow lettuce in the winter is to first of all start them soon enough. So we transplant all of our winter lettuce. We start them in 72 cell trays. They'll be kept like that for 30 days in our nursery. So start of September, we start those seedlings. Around the 1st of October, we transplant these really nice lettuce heads inside the winter greenhouse. Then they'll be watered, they'll be prepped like we usually do in the field. But then like 6 to 7 weeks later, when the lettuce are becoming really nice, that's when we begin the process of hardening them off. So we'll do that by making sure that every cool nights, we open the side roll-ups of our greenhouse. What we want is to make the plant more accustomed to cool nights. We do this because later on, when it's going to become really cold, even below frost, the plant will have established strong roots, and it's going to be okay to survive these frosty nights. Our favorite varieties are Winter Density, that was hybrided for winter production, Merveille, which is an old French cultivar. It's one of the best out there. Dragon, a mini romaine, is really nice. The spacing for these crops is on a 30-inch bed, 4 rows, 6 inch on the rows. So we want to have tighter spacing for our lettuce because we want to maximize space in that winter greenhouse. Another popular crop, and again, this one is not the most frost hardy, but it's so popular that you grow it anyway, is arugula. Arugula is a fan favorite, and for everyone that eats it in the summer, when it has that really spicy mustard taste, a winter arugula is something else. It's really nice, it has a really nice flavor, and it grows well under low light conditions. The trick with arugula is to, again, start it early enough, so we direct seed our arugula directly into our 30-inch permabeds, and we will seed them before October 10th. That here in the Northeast where we are, it's the cutoff date where we leave enough time for that crop to be able to grow before December, when there's no more light. You know, light being the limiting factor of growth in the winter. One other thing about arugula, and it's just the same as lettuce, is that we are not harvesting the whole plant. This is what we call cut and come again, where we'll harvest the top leaves and we'll leave about an inch, half an inch at the bottom for regrowth. And we want to do as many cuts as we can before December, because then we'll be able to have plants that are going to regrow in January. And the two varieties that we really like in the winter is Astro and Esme, which we really like because they're frost hardy-ish. So again, arugula, really nice. Not the most frost hardy, but if you protect it well with 1 row cover, 2 row covers inside a greenhouse, you'll be fine. All right, next in line is definitely my favorite wintergreen, and it's the workhorse. It's the most frost hardy, the easier to grow, and in my opinion, the one that punches the most flavor, and it's spinach. Spinach can take major frost, then it unthaws the next day, and it's ready to go. All the winter greens and lettuce, to cope with the cold, what do is that they augment their sugar content inside their cells. So by doing that, their frost temperature becomes much higher and they become so sweet. And you can really taste it with spinach. So in my opinion, spinach, you just plant it wherever you can and it's gonna grow really well. There's a date, again, like arugula and like lettuce, you probably wanna have all your spinach in before October, and you can either direct seed it or transplant it. Both work really well. I think the important thing about spinach is just getting it soon enough so that it has time to rapidly establish its root. And again, with spinach, you can't really go wrong. It's gonna grow even if it gets really cold. And if you have one crop that you're not gonna grow inside the greenhouse, which is what I'm doing here, I'm growing it outside in unheated tunnels, it's spinach. So that crop is a workhorse. It's, in my opinion, the best green to grow in your winter greenhouse. Now we're moving on to the Asian greens. Asian greens are so amazing because they grow better under low light conditions. They're just like the others, they can sustain a lot of cold, but they grow faster under low light conditions. So in January and February, even in November, you get some growth with these crops. You'll have, one of our favorite is tatsoi. Tatsoi has some really nice rounded leaves. It packs in a lot of weight. It's one of these crops that just kind of gives you a lot for the spacing that it occupies. I really like it a lot. We'll mix it because we do Asian greens, we do a mix. So it's like a mesclun mix. That's how we grow it. That's how we sell it. It'll be lined up with mustards. So different kind of mustards of different colors, mustard that has kind of like a frillish feel to it. This is mesclun, so again, mesclun, we always want it to be bite-sized, so smaller than the size of our hand, but mustard, and then we have also, different kind of mustards. So different shape, different color, and that's what creates a lot of varieties. Mustards and Asian greens like mizuna, tatsoi, pak choi, not so much, it's not a favorite, but there's all sorts of Asian greens coming out being hybridized every year now. If you look at your seed catalogs, you'll see new varieties. It's good to test, it's good to trial, and I'm often surprised by the quality of these Asian seeds, of these seeds growing in our winter greenhouse. So I'm encouraging you to look at different seed suppliers for that. So another one of my favorite is one that's less known. It's Claytonia. Claytonia, some people call it miner's lettuce. This is a young transplant of Claytonia. We started in seedlings and we transplanted the same spacing. Actually, if you're interested in the density of our winter plantings, you can download this free cheat sheet that we have at the Market Gardener Institute about all the spacings that we use. And the spacings are not the same in the winter because you really need to capture more light. So there's a little trick to it. But Claytonia is one of the most frost hardy crops. It's really beautiful, it's really nice, it's different. You can grow some really nice big lobe leaves, and in salads it's really amazing. If you're working with chefs with restaurants, that's going to be a hit. And if you're in a homestead scenario, it just adds a lot of diversity to your diet. So Claytonia, really a good one to grow. A little bit like Claytonia, which is more popular in Europe, another one that's a fan favorite in France, and if you go to France in the winter, you'll be sure to find it in the menus, is Mâche. Mâche is probably, with spinach, one of the most frost hardy green lettuce type that you can grow in your winter greenhouse. And it's amazing in its taste. It's very different. It has more of like a nutty flavor. It has a lot of character, if I can say it that way. And it's a beautiful crop to grow. I would say the only thing with Mâche is that it doesn't give a lot of good yield. Okay, it's not a high yielding crop. Compared to Claytonia, it's not gonna grow as high. Like this is baby Claytonia, we just planted it, but it's gonna become like something spectacular with really a lot of yield coming down the road. With Mâche is often not the case. But still, you know, it's an interesting crop to grow. It's an interesting crop to grow for your own diet. But also if you're selling it commercially, a lot of restaurants and a lot of people know about Mâche and they'll be interested in it. I was talking about planting in the right timing. That's in the fall, and the daylight when you're at the end of January starts to be high again. So now we're planting, transplanting, direct seeding a lot of crops, radishes, turnips, baby carrots, new potatoes. We just planted some Claytonia, and we have some crops that overwintered. This is a great crop to overwinter, Swiss chard. It's not the most popular, but you see all the flavor, all the colors, it's interesting. But I think I'll leave you guys with one last crop that perhaps you don't know, which in my opinion is really worth it, and that's Cress. Cress is a green that grows really well. You see how well it's doing here. And it just creates these nice leaves. It adds a lot of texture to any mesclun mix, or you can sell it on your own. We try to plant it as early as possible in the fall, and this plant is gonna keep harvesting. It's gonna keep giving all the way till May. So it's gonna be a typical come and cut again plant. We cut, there's more, we cut, there's more, we cut, there's more. You can even decide to cut only a few leaves to make sure that the plant is fully photosynthesizes. But this one is less known. It's really interesting, and when you taste the flavor of Cress, it's really something different. And again, if you're working with chefs, they might really appreciate the fact that you're growing this crop. If you want to learn more about winter production, I'm inviting you to read my book, The Winter Market Gardener. It really details the 7 years of research and trial that I did while I was working at FQT Farm. And if you want to take this even further, we have an online course called the Winter Farming Strategy and Season Extension that's developed by the Market Gardener Institute. It's going to give you all the tips and tricks you need to learn to grow year round. It's definitely worth it. It's going to help you with your business if you're not already doing it. And if you're not at the professional level, tricks from a pro can always be nice. So check that out. That's it for this week. I'll see you next time. JM out.